welcome once again to Mood of the Nation, India Today's biannual survey. All the details in India Today's magazine, brought to you in partnership with Yatra, which has done a nationwide poll for us on the eve of the general elections 2024. If day one was about telling you who would win if general elections are held today, day two has many more fascinating insights about brand Modi and indeed the state of the opposition.
The new India Today issue, heading for a hat-trick, is now out on stands. In this 1 hour, we will look at the performance of the Modi government and people's perception about the performance of the Indian opposition. Allow me to introduce you to our panelists. Joining us once again, Yashwant Deshmukh, lead cephalogist at Seawater. He's the one who's led the team that brought this poll together for India Today. We have Amitabh Tiwari back with us, Dr. Sanjay Kumar from CSD. To our left, we've got Rahul Verma and Rashid Kidwai. We've also got guests joining us from outside, from the ruling BJP. Its spokesperson Shazia Ilmi, and Mohan Kumar Manglam is back with us.
Okay, let's in this first hour, Rahul, look at the Modi government's report card, because as we've said, the elections are suggesting the Prime Minister is heading for a third big win in the general election. So we thought we'll break down the reasons why Mr. Modi's popularity is still more or less intact 10 years into power. Mr. Modi's legacy. What is it that Mr. Modi will be most remembered by? And this is fascinating, Rahul, because when I look at these numbers, Ram Mandir 42%, raising India's global stature 19%, revocation of Article 370 12%. So you add that, the 42 and the 19 between Ram Mandir and of course G20 that took place a few months before that, the Prime Minister seems to have built brand Modi along both Ram Mandir and an international image.
When you see one number pop up in this fashion, 42% for the Ram Mandir, the first question that comes to my mind, Yashwant Deshmukh, is about the recency bias, right? Just the fact that this poll happened so soon after the Ram Mandir Pran Pratishtha, and in the build-up to that, because that's the issue that's playing out on television, social media and on digital. Could this also be marred by just the fact that this is what was in people's mind uppermost at that moment?
Well, of course, yes. I mean, and then also keep in mind that, you know, the majority of the field work actually happened before the Pran Pratishtha.
But there was a big build-up.
There was a big build-up for sure, but many times more than the build-up when actually it happens. You see, build-up is fine, but the impact of the telecast of the Pran Pratishtha, that would be altogether a different thing. So what I am simply trying to say, the actual impact of the Pran Pratishtha probably is going to be seen from the day, from the last week to the weeks that we are going to see. And apart from the Pran Pratishtha, now that the PM will be going and talking about it in his speeches and the rallies, so there are two kind of impact that you are likely to see, Rahul, in that. And Rahul Verma would be in a very much better position to explain this question of relative turnout, which I have been so trying to explain it to our audience as well. What will happen that these kind of events impact the enthusiasm of the party cadre, voters and profile like that. So if this built up now results in an impact where the cadre of the BJP and the NDA voters, they feel more enthusiastic to come out and vote, and the cadre and the voter of the opposition alliance feel less enthusiastic, then beyond the survey population and survey base, those who actually go out to vote on the voting day, that will create significant difference in what you gauge in a survey and what the actual result would be. So that is going to be very, very critical in the coming election.
Since we have a lot of ground to cover, I don't want to get caught up for too long in any one question. We want to press on the pedal and move to the next question. And this, Rajdeep, is a question that's animated out of Chatterati. So let's bring that out on our screen right now. Who is best suited to succeed Prime Minister Modi? Home Minister Amit Shah comes up at number one position with 29% of the respondents saying he's best suited. Yogi Adityanath comes in at number 2, which is 25%. The Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari comes in at number 3. Now the point is they're all BJP leaders. So whoever it is and whenever it is, Rajdeep, the best suited to succeed Prime Minister Modi in the eyes of the respondents in this Mood of the Nation poll is a BJP leader.
Is it among only, is it Which BJP leader is best succeeded?
This one is among the BJP leader, but the funny thing is what you are trying to say is also the fact, because when you talk about all the leaders all along, the gap between Rahul Gandhi comes at number 2 for sure, but the gap between Rahul Gandhi and the other BJP leaders is not that big.
So what you're saying is that when you ask a voter who is best placed to succeed Prime Minister Modi, among the Congress voters, it would be Rahul Gandhi.
Yeah,
but among BJP voters, clearly Home Minister Amit Shah is at number 1. And because the BJP is getting a sizable vote share larger than the Congress in any case, Amit Shah therefore would be in pole position.
Well, so I have that question. Yeah. Who's best suited to be the next Prime Minister? In response to this question, 55% of the respondents said Prime Minister Modi is best suited to be the next Prime Minister. Rahul Gandhi came in at a lowly 14%, about 1/4 of where Prime Minister Modi. So there's a difference of night and day between the two.
And according to me, Rahul, this is the most significant number in a way, given the fact that Indian elections are becoming, dare I say, quasi-presidential or prime ministerial in terms of a leadership contest. When you're 4-1 ahead of your nearest rival, look at the US presidential elections, much tighter when it comes to asking a direct question. So when you ask this direct question, best suited to be next Prime Minister, Rahul Gandhi is way behind Prime Minister Modi, and the BJP has options from within, like Amit Shah and Yogi Adityanath. So that makes it even more difficult for the opposition. Would you agree, Rahul, that because Indian elections are leadership contests, when the gap is more than 40% between number 1 and 2, it makes it very difficult for the opposition also to combat this sort of Modi dividend or Modi factor?
Absolutely. And look at this thing you were saying about Amit Shah and Adityanath also getting some traction within the BJP voters, which means that if you just look at the BJP base, Prime Minister Modi at 55 and BJP vote at 40, the Prime Minister is pulling BJP up, right? And which is not, which is very rare phenomena that a leader is twice more likely than the party.
In the initial period, there was this conversation about whether Prime Minister Modi might retire at the age of 75, because midway through a potential third term is when he hits that age. I think it's now pretty clear, Rajdeep, that nothing of the sort is going to happen. He's here till the end, because in some elections he's spoken about when he's back in 29 in Parliament, there will be another no confidence motion. So he's given some indications to his boss, he's here to stay.
I have my own theory about this, which is that the Prime Minister likes to break records. India's longest serving Prime Minister was Jawaharlal Nehru, 17 years. Mr. Modi would complete 17 years in 2031. So at the very earliest, he would like to, if he has to go and go into some kind of Margdarshak Mandal, it will be 2032.
Nobody sends himself into a Margdarshak Mandal.
If at all.
47 to 52, Nehru wasn't elected PM.
Yeah, he wasn't elected, but 17 years is the period. When you ask how long was Jawaharlal Nehru Prime Minister of India, the answer is 17 years. Mr. Modi would like the next generation to suggest that he would be there for 18 years. But you wanted to make a point, Rashid, on just the fact that the opposition doesn't seem to be able to combat the Prime Minister's popularity in a way.
Absolutely.
With their own leader.
Yeah, absolutely, Radeep. And I'm not so sure whether, the 16% of people who are backing Nitin Gadkari are all, BJP supporters. There was a talk, Radeep, you may have also heard, until last year when there was some kind of calculation in opposition was that maybe 2024 would be a hung house. And therefore, there was a thinking, a solid thinking that, given a chance, the opposition, particularly the Congress, would back Nitin Gadkari. So that's the thing.
Who was thinking this?
There was a Congress thinking that if there is an opening, if Mr. Modi falls short of
Congress would back Nitin Gadkari to be PM.
Nitin Gadkari, something like what they did with Charan Singh and with
Congress keeps making these jalebis in their own mind.
These are political realities. Chandrasekhar did become with Congress support. So was Deve Gowda. So was R.K. Gujral. So was Chaudhry Charan Singh.
We'll come to our political guests in a moment, but I just want to get Amitabh Tiwari on this. There's one view, editorial view, which is interesting, that with every successive leader, the BJP has been able to make sort of Hindutva politics more acceptable. So you move from Vajpayee to Advani, and when you move from Advani to Modi, and now from Modi you move to either an Amit Shah or Yogi Adityanath, they are much more unapologetic in a way about their Hindutva politics, even more so than a Prime Minister Modi, certainly with Yogi Adityanath. Is that the direction, the trend you see the BJP voter in particular moving towards?
See, I would say Modi Ji is very liberal Hindu when you compare it to a hardliner like Yogi Adityanath or an Amit Shah. That's number one. However, as you said, if you see the Modi's legacy, 42% Ram Mandir, 19% international stature, and 12% UCC. That means it is catering to a wide array of voting segments. One is a hardcore Hindutva, of course, but the other is the aspirational politics which we were talking about yesterday. And 19% of the voters are actually giving BJP the edge, or is the difference between the opposition and the BJP. So it's not the core Hindutva voter which is winning the election. That's number one. Number two, if you see who is best suited to be PM, 55% Modi, 14% Rahul, but what is the other people? Just a second, what are the other options in that? It's Amit Shah and Yogi Adityanath?
There are options of Amit Shah or Adityanath in that, but as you said, that majority of the BJP voters have gone for, in this question, for
but it shows the over-dependence of BJP on leaders. 55% is the PM choice, but the vote share of BJP is 40.
Yeah, I take
so
that
he's
point.
An asset.
No, I take your point, but this is where Sanjay Kumar, the CSDS survey, post-poll survey, which said 1 in every 3 voters who voted for the BJP in 2019 voted because of Prime Minister Modi. 5 years later, do you believe the situation is much the same? Do you believe tomorrow, if the BJP were to pitch 5 years from now, a Yogi Adityanath or Amit Shah, would the BJP be still in the kind of domineering position it seems today?
Rajdeep, my own sense is that if I ask the question today, the same question, if Narendra Modi was not the prime ministerial candidate, would you have still voted for BJP? My own sense is that BJP's dependence on Prime Minister Modi would have gone up, which is to say from 33%, it may have touched to about 40%. That's my guess. And why I guess that? Because in the assembly election, when we were asking this question earlier, we were not getting kind of the same kind of a response. But in the recent round of assembly election, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh, we did ask this question, and we got the data suggests 20% of the BJP voters have voted for Narendra Modi in the assembly elections also. So I get a sense that there is greater attraction or traction for Prime Minister Modi even among the BJP voters as we see among other voters as well.
Kumar Mangalam, the big problem from the Congress's perspective is that you're up against this towering personality. You have no one to take him on. The only person you have is Rahul Gandhi, who's 1/4 the political stature of Prime Minister Modi. It just seems to be a contest where whenever these two go head to head, the answer will be very clearly in favor of the Prime Minister.
You sound like a soothsayer, Rahul. Whenever, as in at any point in the future, I certainly can't look that far out at the future and make those predictions. You made the point early on, and I made this point on your show yesterday as well, that the survey was taken at a point when Ram Mandir hysteria was at its highest level. So I'm not sure these numbers bear out, but I will say that I think as an opposition, we haven't really given the voters yet a clear set of promises, a clear set of things that we would want them to come out and vote for us on. So there are serious problems in the economy. There are serious issues with our democracy today. There are serious issues in terms of income inequality, unemployment that we've been talking about ad nauseum, but we haven't said what we are going to do different. And if you look at the reasons, your survey says that people are voting for Mr. Modi, whether that be Ram Mandir or the more intangible India status abroad, which doesn't really translate anywhere in terms of tangibles, whether that be FDI, whether that be bilateral agreement signed with someone, or whether that even be relationships with our neighbors that have gotten worse over the last decade or so. Then all I have to say is that we have to, as an opposition, focus the voter on tangibles that they should be looking for from the central government.
Say that, Mohan Kumar Mangalam, you make a good point by saying you've got, but sir, you make a point that you want to focus on the tangibles, yet what does your leadership do? They now question whether Mr. Modi is genuinely an OBC or not. The point is, you draw Mr. Modi, the individual, constantly into the political battle. You say you want to focus on tangibles. Has Mr. Modi achieved A, B, C as he claims or not? But in the field, when you go out there, your own leader, Rahul Gandhi, has raised a question now over whether Mr. Modi is a genuine OBC or not. So you draw him into your contest.
I think the reason why Mr. Gandhi talked about whether Mr. Modi is genuinely an OBC or not is because of the fact that Mr. Modi in Parliament referred to one of the major asks of our opposition combined, which is that there should be a caste census survey. And he said that, why are you saying that OBCs have been ignored? The number one OBC is me, which sort of makes light of the entire argument. And what Mr. Gandhi said was point out to the fact that he comes from a privileged background. And it's only later in life that his particular community was put into the backward class. So there's nothing wrong with that, but to make sure that that's communicated to the electorate. We should,
well, all I will say, with due regard, sir, all I will say, a number of OBC communities have been brought into the Mandal report at different times. So to try and nitpick, I think, at least, is denying the very basis on which these kind of categorizations are made. But that's another debate, Rahul.
Now, Shazia Ilmi, the Ram Mandir coming in as number one in terms of Prime Minister Modi's legacy. But interestingly, since it happened, he hasn't spoken so much about it. He's rather focusing on development. Is the BJP trying here to say, okay, we've charged up our base, we don't need to enthuse the base anymore, they're already on our side, we need to talk about a Viksit Bharat. So he's doing what he did in 2012-13, bring the focus on his development efforts so that he can appeal to the fence-sitter, the neutral voter, the non-Hindutva BJP voter, and try and bring him on board in his quest for Ab Ki Baar 400 Par.
So firstly, they're both not mutually exclusive of each other. If you see our manifesto, Ram Temple has always been there. If you see our manifesto and what we believe in terms of policies and the implementation and Prime Minister's guarantee, Modi ki guarantee, and what that means in terms of delivery, in terms of DBTs, transfers, Gyan, you know, whether it's a Garib or Annadata or Nari Shakti or the youth. It's all there. So whichever game you want to play, whether it's a clay court or astroturf, whichever pitch you want to play, BJP is going to beat all others because when it comes to development, you're way ahead. You've seen a track record. You've seen how we have achieved phenomenal milestones in terms of Jan Dhan Yojana. You know, look at the whole Jab Trinity. Look at what it means to an Indian. And mostly it is, and you know, Prime Minister said it. He said two things yesterday, and I was listening to him carefully. He was very angry on the issue of corruption. And he said, while he said it, he says, people have already been convicted. You are doing their Mahima Mandan. You're glorifying them. And what do you want to do with this? And he said something very interesting which stuck out. And he says, this is what you want to teach the next generation? Agli peedhi ko kya batana chahte hain? So look at Prime Minister's mind.
You know, Shazia Ilmi, every time now a BJP politician weighs in on corruption, I'm sorry, as a citizen both of Maharashtra and India, I have to say that a Prime Minister who says 70,000 crore ka irrigation ghotala hua hai, NCP is corrupt, and a week later embraces Ajit Pawar, cannot talk now about corruption with the same authority as he once did. Let's be very clear, corruption is extremely selective.
That has been done.
Her point is, if you
it's not.
No, Mohan, let her respond.
No, it's
Mohan,
not.
let her please respond.
No, it's not. I was saying something else. No, Rajdeep, I was saying something else. I will come to that. He also said, he says that you know what the poor goes through. I have been there. So I think it's connect with the poor, the extreme poverty, that's biggest. I think that's the biggest achievement. 25 crore Indians being lifted out of multi-dimensional poverty, owing to whether it's 80 crore of rations being given to them, Jan Dhan Yojana, Aadhaar, telephony, direct transfers, Samman Nidhi, Swi Nidhi, all of those, Vishwakarma Yojana, I can go on and on.
So now,
and as for corruption, let me remind you, Rajdeep, and tell you very categorically. First time, I want to finish.
Yes.
10 seconds, no, Rahul.
Okay, go on.
Rahul, no, as the Prime Minister of this country, for the first time we have seen a cabinet totally untainted by any corruption, any scam, first time in the history of India. Prime Minister, Prime Minister's cabinet. Do you remember UPA 2 and UPA 1 and all others?
So you're telling me, that as long as, ma'am, just a minute, you're telling me as long as there are no corruption scandals which convict any of your cabinet ministers, all is well, but you can have allies across, just a minute, ma'am, you can have allies across the state who are tainted by corruption, and then it becomes a washing machine. I mean, you cannot have washing machine politics on one side and also talk
Rajdeep,
about corruption on the other. I'm sorry.
Rajdeep, that has been done to death. Rajdeep,
it's true.
No, I will talk about it because this is happening for
true.
the first time in the history
Rajdeep,
of this
you can't have a
country.
conversation with her.
In the
Let me
cabinet,
respond.
Prime Minister as the leader of the cabinet at the centre has been not one single scam.
Okay.
I remember
No, so
being
the
part of
fact
the
also
Aam Aadmi
is,
Party
Mohan Kumar
Nandazade
Mangalam, from the
movement,
opposition's
when we talked about
perspective, you
UPA
currently
2,
have a
and we
situation where the Prime Minister is running circles around the Congress. In his speech in the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, he says, you know, the Congress is so slow in terms of trying to mount the campaign. Do you want me to teach you how to be a good opposition? Narasimha Rao, a Congress Prime Minister who is ignored and humiliated after stepping down as Prime Minister, gets awarded the Bharat Ratna. They've given Charan Singh the Bharat Ratna. Now RLD has come on board. They're basically, in the manner in which they, you know, used Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel to hit out at the Congress, saying you are disrespecting everybody who's not a Gandhi. And that's something that puts the Congress squarely on the defensive.
Rahul, I think that's unfair. I think the Congress has, during its period, handed out Bharat Ratnas to many individuals who are not Gandhis. The fact that Mr. Narasimha Rao has been given a Bharat Ratna by Mr. Modi, I welcome it. I think Mr. Narasimha Rao's contribution, especially in terms of the 1991 reforms, is not talked about as much as it should be. And as Congress, we actually celebrated his centenary last year with a big event in Hyderabad where all national leaders were there. We routinely talk about
with due regard, Mr. Kumar Mangalam, that is, y'all woke up late. Let's be honest. Do you accept that Narasimha Rao, for example, was disrespected when his family was not even allowed to bring his body to the Congress headquarters for people to pay last respects? These are all part of history. So the problem is, and Rahul's back on. You see, while we can question Mr. Modi on certain decisions he's made, but the Congress also carries a lot of baggage.
Yeah. I'd like to question Mr. Modi that I welcome the fact that he's given the Bharat Ratna to Mr. Swaminathan, but he has done nothing to live up to the promises that he made to Mr. Swaminathan. For example, there is no constitutional mandate of MSP that he promised to the farmers. There's no doubling of income either. There are meager increases in MSP that he gives. And he gives 6,000 rupees in Kisan Samman Nidhi, whereas 1.5 lakhs is the average debt that a farmer has, which is because of which still farmers are committing suicide every day. So these are...
But there is a difference in approach here. Remember, Rajdeep, Pandit Nehru gave himself the Bharat Ratna while he was there. Indira Gandhi gave herself the Bharat Ratna.
The Pandit Nehru argument is used selectively.
How is that?
There are two views. One is that Babu Rajendra Prasad, who was then president, insisted that Nehru take it. You could argue that Nehru should have said no. You could have said Nehru could have said no, but it was the decision was taken by the president. But go ahead, yes.
Can I come in?
And that's
I have written extensively about, Bharat Ratna to Pandit Nehru. When Pandit Nehru was conferred Bharat Ratna, he was not even in India, he was in Austria. There was a cabinet decision, and Dr. Rajendra Prasad, who was President of the Republic, he's written in his autobiography that this is for the first time and only time I acted against the Constitution. I did not act as per advice of the Prime Minister.
But is that proper, Rashid Kidwai, for a serving Prime Minister to receive the Bharat Ratna while he's in office?
That's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal.
I'll tell you, I'll give you an example of that also. You see, Rahul, we are talking about 1956 and we are in, 2024. See, normally when presidents when anybody is given Bharat Ratna, there is a huge citation. In Nehru's case, citation was not read because it was said that, his achievements are so many that...
No, but what about Indira Gandhi giving herself the Bharat Ratna?
That was also done by V.V. Giri, and then V.V. Giri also got it.
And then V.V. Giri himself got the Bharat Ratna in 1975. Now, bottom line, when it comes to Bharat Ratna, all political governments have used Bharat Ratna in a way to promote their own political messages. Today, a socialist leader sent me a message. He said, you have given everyone Bharat Ratna.
Rajdeep, there is a difference.
1 minute.
One simple
Today,
point.
someone sent me a message, a senior leader from the socialists. Now, there are still some old socialists left. Said, what about Ram Manohar Lohia? You see, this can be an endless race as to who could give a Bharat Ratna. Indira Gandhi gave one to V.V. Giri. There's a question mark.
Having said that, let's make it a point. See, I personally speaking, if you will ask me, two things which Modi government, which I appreciate really. Number one, forget everything else. I feel the focus on promoting entrepreneurship among the masses, particularly females, that I feel is a long go. Second thing, this entire Kaya Kalp of Padma Awards, the entire Kaya Kalp of this Bharat Ratna thing, that is because we need heroes. We need the real heroes from real life to celebrate.
Real heroes?
As culturally
Can I come
speaking,
in?
Rashid Bhai,
No.
we have not been
Rashid Bhai, this
celebrating
argument of
the
yours
Just one
sounds
thing.
suspicious to me.
No. See, the simple point is you are saying Mr. Narasimha Rao was humiliated. Agreed. I have also written about it. But what about Mr. L.K. Advani? Was he not humiliated within the BJP? This is the part and parcel of this up and low. You see, why Charan Singh, and the Morarji Desai government fell on dual membership. What was the issue of dual membership? That you cannot be a member of Bharatiya Janata Sangh. So all these things are there. These are political postures. Mr. Modi is bringing out a white paper on UPA's, economic policies, basically condemning and questioning, Dr. Manmohan Singh's economic policies. Now, what was Narasimha Rao as kind of the architect of economic reforms, and who was his, sort of disciple? Dr. Manmohan Singh.
Okay.
So, I can give you one more, how it works. A couple of years ago, when Ajit Singh was virtually thrown out of his house, his luggage was thrown out of his house for overstaying. No one then spoke about, "Arey, wo Charan Singh ka beta hai, ye wo." Look, times change.
And
Today, the BJP perhaps sees the RLD as a potential partner. I believe Charan Singh has a huge contribution. And Charan Singh's politics, remember, and people should remember this, was bringing together Jats and Muslims. That was one of his enduring legacies of Charan Singh in Western UP, was bringing Jats and Muslims. Is the BJP willing to do that? Bring the fractures together? These are all questions. These are all complex arguments. You see, we reduce everything to symbolism. The problem in this country, Bharat Ratna de diya, sab kuch
Let's not oversimplify the thing, but Rajdeep, the fact remains, UPA had 10 long years to give Bharat Ratna to Atal Bihari Vajpayee. They did not.
Good point.
UPA,
Can I give you a better point?
for that matter, is not known, or the Congress rule is not known to give a single person from the opposition rank and file that kind of.
That's a good point, but can I just one last counter, Rahul? Sorry. My problem is the Congress did not give the great Sardar Patel the Bharat Ratna for 40 years. That's my problem. Did not give the great Ambedkar Bharat Ratna. So we can argue about this. There are arguments on both sides. My worry is we are now handing over. No, 1 minute.
Mahatma Gandhi, he never got Bharat Ratna. The greatest son of India.
Yeah, but Mahatma Gandhi didn't even get the Nobel Peace Prize. The point is, we are now handing over Bharat Ratna in a general election year like toffee. Nitish Kumar says, Karpuri Thakur ko Bharat Ratna do, we give the Bharat Ratna. Chaudhary Charan Singh ko do, taki Jayant Chaudhary hamare saath aa jaye. That, I think, reduces
they
all may have been deserving, but there's a way to do it.
The question is not a
timing.
single one is undeserving candidate. All these gentlemen stalwart deserved Bharat Ratna way back.
But I can give you 20 names.
But it's much better than getting it
Narendra
when you are
Modi
Prime Minister
ends up
yourself.
doing a lot many things which Congress and other people should have done way back.
I agree with you. There we are.
So I want to move on
That's okay.
and take the next question. How do you rate the performance of Modi as Prime Minister? Good and outstanding say 61% of the respondents, poor say 24%. Which is a little bit more poor than last time, a little less good than last time, but still very high. Raj Chingappa joins us. As Prime Minister, 61% saying his performance is either good or outstanding, which 10 years of being in power, just, Mr. Chingappa, is a phenomenal number for the Prime Minister to be sitting at.
Absolutely commendable. And I think what's interesting about this fact is that I think it's about the 5th or 6th consecutive time, despite the COVID, despite everything, his popularity ratings or his performance ratings have always been above 50%. And as you mentioned, in the 10th year, normally, as we had seen during Dr. Manmohan Singh's time, his popularity had plummeted considerably. Mr. Modi's popularity is still at not stratospheric. He used to get 70% at some point, but 55% at this particular time, just before the general election, reflects the trend of what our poll showed yesterday, that the BJP is heading for a full majority and Mr. Modi is the prime mover of that.
Okay, I want to show our viewers, just for comparison, where Prime Minister Modi stands relative to other global leaders. So, do you agree with the performance of your government and how it's doing? This is from Morning Consult. Prime Minister Modi comes in at 76% agreement. This is in India, 18% disagreeing with his policies. And take some of the other leaders. For example, Lula da Silva in Brazil has only 49% popularity. Giorgia Meloni, 41% popularity, 52% disagreeing with him. Joe Biden, only 37% agree with him, 55% disagree with him. Trudeau, 31% agree with him, 64% disagree. Rishi Sunak, 25% agree, 65% disagree. Emmanuel Macron, 24% agree, 70% disagree. That number by itself, which comes out, Sanjay Kumar, from the Sea Voter survey, makes even more impact when you look at it in a global context.
There's no doubt about that. Standalone, if we want to look at popularity of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he is extremely popular, and we cannot compare his popularity with any other leader at present among the other Indian leaders. If you compare his popularity across the world, there's no doubt that he is one of the most popular leaders. But what the data indicates is that among the popular leaders, he also remains the most popular leader among various popular leaders in the world. So, and that is what the earlier data also indicated, that Prime Minister Modi's popularity in India, why it has gone up? Because a lot of people believe that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been able to lift India's image in the world. Why? Because he's seen as a powerful leader, he's seen as a popular leader. So there is no disagreement. I don't disagree.
Because you know, if you look at NDA government's biggest achievement, and I think this is interesting because this shows how Modi turned adversity into opportunity. NDA government's biggest achievement, 20% said COVID-19 pandemic, 17% said Ram Mandir, and corruption-free governance was 14%. So if you look at the entire issue of the NDA's biggest achievements, it's very clear that even though August 2021 was the one occasion where Mr. Modi's popularity seemed to dip, even in the Mood of the Nation poll, 2 years later, it's seen as his biggest achievement handling COVID-19 pandemic, and presumably that has a lot to do with the vaccine. NDA government's biggest failure, Rahul, price rise 24%, unemployment 18%, COVID-19 pandemic 13%. So very clearly, the two issues that have consistently remained a question mark for the government have been price rise, but I actually think on inflation, the government has done much better in comparison with the previous UPA, but unemployment is a serious problem. At 24 and 18, 42% look at these as their top issues. But when you look at his achievements, you know, the fact is that Mr. Modi has been able to create a sense of positivity. Look at the NDA performance graph. From August 2020 to February 24, August 2020 it peaks at 72%. This is just after, you've got the first wave of COVID. And it still is at 72%. So the lockdown also didn't, diminish his popularity. COVID too, I think, was the one hit he's taken. But look at across, having these kind of numbers, Rahul, is quite incredible for any leader across the world. 10 years in, no sign of anti-incumbency at all.
And the reason he has this kind of number, one, because of his own popularity, but two, because of the opposition. Opposition has been basically converting every opportunity into a lost cause, whereas Modi, as you said, converts every adversary or every adverse moment also into an opportunity.
Sure. What's the most important issue for you? When this question was asked, and I want Shazia Ilmi to listen to this carefully, 26% say unemployment is their number one issue. Price rise comes in at 19, poverty comes in at 7. But if you look at the focus on the issue of job creation, there isn't frankly that much focus in public utterances on this. They acknowledge privately that it's a problem, but publicly they're not really telling people what to do. And the strategy seems to be the less you talk about it, the lesser the issue becomes. The problem from the Congress's perspective is that they're not talking much about it either, and that's another matter altogether. But that's not something, for example, in the budget that happened, in that word cloud that we put out, unemployment, job losses, jobs were hardly discussed.
So, not that anybody is running away from it or is being squeamish about it. I have figures of unemployment, and I have a comparative study of the 10 years of UPA in UPA 2 as well as of this government. But you know, when you talk about the popularity, which remains undiminished across the spectrum in India, abroad, cutting through various classes, what is it that stands out? If there is an issue, and not everything is perfect, if there is one person who will deliver, who will find a solution, who will work towards it, it will be this Prime Minister, it will be Modi. This is the belief people have. And you know, no matter, so I'm not saying anything is perfect. And as for unemployment, I can give you the figures. You know, and if you look at rural areas, the unemployment rate has decreased from 5.3 in 17-18 to 2.4. I can also give you the urban unemployment.
Source, ma'am,
But
Now,
the
what's
fact
your
of the matter
source?
is that when you look
What's
at
the source you're using for your
across-
unemployment
so-
data? Because
so what I'm
unemployment, the
saying is-
problem is it depends on who your source or what your source is. There are sources which will tell you about unemployment and labor
Yes, I don't
participation
know.
ratio, which has worsened.
No, there are people, Rajdeep, who even question the Niti Aayog when I talk about 24 crore people being lifted out of absolute and multidimensional poverty. They even talk
Okay.
about that. So it's your source versus my source. That can go on. This is the official figures that I have from the ministry, which we've been given as spokesperson.
Okay.
So this is what I'm quoting.
So I want to
But
go
what I'm
now
saying is,
to the
if not
performance
everything is
report card
perfect,
of the
but
opposition.
people believe.
We spent
but
a lot of
people
time
believe.
discussing the performance of the Modi government. Let's spend a little bit of time. Rashid Saab is saying non-performance of the opposition. So anyway, performance or non-performance report card of the opposition. Can the India bloc defeat the BJP? What's the people's perception in response to this question? 55% say no, can't be done. 31% say yes. So basically half the respondents don't think the India bloc has a hope in hell of beating the government. Who's best suited to lead India? Rahul Gandhi comes in at 21. The problem though with that number is it's 3% down. He already was only at 25. From that it's fallen between the last MOT end to now to 21. Kejriwal was at 15. He's at 17. Mamata Banerjee is at 17. And Kharge is at 6. Rajdeep.
What is very clear from these numbers is the opposition has been unable to add any new voters on its side. You look at Rahul Gandhi's numbers, 21%, Congress is roughly around 20%. So it's only the core Congress voter, who's saying that Rahul Gandhi is my choice for Prime Minister. How do you win elections? You win elections with incremental voters. Mr. Modi has been able to hugely add incremental voters to the BJP's tally. Those who may not necessarily want the BJP, want Prime Minister Modi, as we said, 1 in every 3 who voted for the BJP. On the contrast, the opposition across the board, with possibly the slight exception, interestingly, of Mr. Kejriwal, because Aam Aadmi Party is not going to get 17% vote nationally. He's actually polling higher than the
Rashid
Aam
sir,
Aadmi
is
Party's
there a
vote.
chance that Rahul Gandhi gives up politics after the Lok Sabha elections if the verdict goes against the Congress? Or will he say, but I wasn't even president, it's Kharge who was president, so how is this my fault?
Absolutely. I think this distinction is bound to be made that this is not Rahul Gandhi's election. But, the mood of the nation makes a very revealing, very startling thing that Rahul Gandhi should consider the very objective of his Yatra, because both Bharat Jodo Yatra phase 1 and phase 2, the Congress managers were very optimistic that will increase that kind of, vote share and vote percentage. And clearly that is not happening. So Mohabbat ki dukaan is not clicking. And that
But
is
nothing
something
is clicking. That's the problem. Rahul Verma, if this was a Western democracy, whether it's the UK, Canada, the United States, if a leader gets rejected as many times as Rahul Gandhi has been, at some point in time you tell him, do something else. This is not for you. But somehow Rahul and the Congress don't get that.
True, for 2 reasons. One, because most parties in India are dynastic parties. In many parts of the world, parties are not dynastic. So party themselves would throw leaders if you are not able to perform. In Indian case, most parties, and this is not just with Rahul Gandhi, there are many state-level parties, they will continue losing elections, but they will not move out of the family legacy. And so slowly they basically go for attrition, and which is what might happen with the Congress party. Second, what is more interesting in the data which you showed, that the India bloc vote share is at 38%, whereas only 31% are saying that India bloc has a chance to compete against the BJP, which means that even the India voters don't believe that there is a chance.
But that has been a historic case as well, Rahul. I mean, I could not help but remember that after 5 years of incumbency, when P.V. Narasimha Rao lost the election, his numbers, the vote and the seats that P.V. Narasimha Rao got for the Congress was way more than the Sonia magic in 2004.
True.
Nobody remembers that after 5 years of incumbency running a minority government, being hit by one scandal after the other, still opening up the thing, economy and everything and anything that could have gone wrong for Narasimha Rao went wrong, still his numbers, vote and the seats were way more than what Mrs. Sonia Gandhi secured for Congress in the historic elections of 2004.
Yeah,
so what happens if Mallikarjun Kharge's number under his leadership happens to be more than what Rahul Gandhi ensured in 2014 and 2019.
The problem, Rahul, is that while we say that Rahul Gandhi has not been able to add new voters, the question is, if not Rahul, who? You see, that question has not been answered. When you look at the data, for example, performance of Mr. Kharge as Congress president, outstanding say 20%, good say 17%, average say 21%, and poor say 25%. So it comes to 37%.
But this is way better than when we asked the same question about Rahul Gandhi as a Congress president.
Yeah, just a minute. When we ask the question, performance of Rahul as opposition leader, outstanding is 23, good is 16%, average is 16, poor is 35. What's happening is, because the Congress has still put all its eggs in Rahul's basket, the ability for a new leader to emerge and to be able to take that space is reduced. Tomorrow, if the Congress had given Mallikarjun Kharge, let's say, more political authority,
exactly the point,
then maybe these 37% that he's getting was saying outstanding and good, not bad. So I think part of the problem is you have not created any space for any alternate leader to emerge within the Congress party who could challenge. That's what a democratic system would do.
Keeping in mind that historical facts prove again and again that non-Gandhi Congress leaders have done exceptionally well whenever they have been given a chance.
And also, democracy abhors a vacuum. If there is a position, democracy in the way that it functions will throw somebody up. So this idea that the Gandhis are the only ones who can hold the Congress together.
Rahul,
yes, Rashid.
See, if you look at 2019 Lok Sabha election, Rahul Gandhi immediately resigned, owning the responsibility, and he put two conditions, that he will not be there and nor will any member of his family. Now, what happens in Congress? You can say it was orchestrated, but it was not. See, nobody takes that job. There is no Congress president's election. Then Sonia Gandhi is brought in and she becomes, interim president. That arrangement continue for almost over 2 years. And then Kharge comes in. So it's got a lot of, it's a very telling
what do you mean by nobody takes the job? Come on. There are people who would love to take the job, are not allowed to take the job. Let's not kid ourselves. All these, nobody's allowed to take the job. Why not? If you're saying you're withdrawing from the scene, then you've got to completely withdraw from the scene and give complete. That's not happened. Rahul Gandhi remains deep. Please tell me, why is KC Venugopal and the entire Congress leadership on the Bharat Jodo or Bharat Nyaya Yatra at the moment, when they should be here at the Congress headquarters with Mallikarjun Kharge planning the 2024 elections? That, to my mind, reveals the problem. Rahul Gandhi remains Rahul, the de facto leader. De jure, you've got Kharge, whose ratings are not bad in terms of performance.
It is better than Rahul's.
That's what I'm saying.
Better than Rahul. So that is what it is. If you give somebody else,
but you haven't given them the opportunity.
Yes. He is doing better than Rahul Gandhi if you add.
But that's why Rahul is on Yatra. Rahul is on Yatra to create his own image, not for the party.
No, I'll tell you that.
Creating an image which is positive.
But look at the survey. The survey was asked, view on Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jodo Nyaya Yatra. 25% said great political move. Remember, 20% have already said they'll vote for the Congress. Will gain public attention, 20%. No impact on Lok Sabha polls is 32%. Image management drill is 11%. Add 32 and 11, 43%. So it's not having any dramatic impact beyond, I repeat, the core Congress voter. Has Rahul Gandhi's politics improved after the Yatra? Yes, said 35%. No, said 42%. So, you see, I will be fair to Rahul Gandhi to the extent that you have to give him marks for trying. He's not stepping back. He's continuously out there on the road. You cannot deny that. But he's not having impact on the ground.
Outrightly, Congress refusing the idea of Mamata Banerjee to project Kharge ji as the prime ministerial candidate. That is something telling you that, okay, they are doing mehnat and all that, fine. But they are still not pragmatic enough to play the real politics. No. That's the problem.
I think we are having
this data shows.
I think we are having
that
a very.
If 42% are saying no, it has not improved after the Bharat Jodo Yatra, which means whatever gains he had made in last year's Bharat Jodo Yatra has all been dissipated. Whatever learnings he has got from the Yatra, as a mature political leader, he is not involved. That's what people are saying. 42% are saying that his politics has not improved after Bharat Jodo Yatra.
I think we are having a very fashionable discourse when it comes to the Congress party and Rahul Gandhi. You must understand political parties' dynamics. There is a Congress party constitution that allows 15% of AICC delegates, PCC delegates can requisition a special meeting and throw out anybody. It's happened. It happened with Indira Gandhi also. It happened with Sitaram Kesri. It happened with several leaders. It's not happening. So therefore, what I'm saying, the congressmen and women are as much responsible as the Gandhis. Gandhis are just
Mohan Kumaramangalam,
grandstanding.
Mohan Kumaramangalam, you want to respond? A good question that was raised by, a good point raised by Yashwant also, that, here was Mamata Banerjee, Kejriwal saying, appoint Mr. Kharge as our convener, as our face, as our chairperson. What happens? Silence.
What happened? By the way, who took most offense to that? It was Nitish Kumar, not the Congress party. The Congress party was against Mr. Kharge being appointed as the face of the alliance. The Congress party was trying to keep everybody in the alliance. The person who was most offended by that suggestion was Nitish Kumar. So please don't misconstrue why the Congress party said, okay, hold on this decision for the reasons that we want to project Rahul Gandhi. Now, Rahul Gandhi just seems to have become all of yours favorite whipping boy. As Mr. Kidwai pointed out, he resigned in 2014. He took moral responsibility. He is by far our most vocal and our most visible face when it comes to countering the BJP. And he's doing that by going on a yatra. That is the medium he's using to spread his message. Mr. K.C. Venugopal is there at least 3 days in Delhi. He's there conducting these meetings. He's there talking to alliance partners. And Mr. Kharge is working full-time on it. What is the problem with Mr. Venugopal being on the yatra or not being on the yatra? On the yatra, their press meets, their press conferences, their political issues are raised on a daily basis. To take Mr. Rahul Gandhi and just use him as a whipping boy, just because we...
By the way, Nitish is popular. You'll be happy to note, since you raised Mr. Kumaramangalam, you raised Nitish's point. Our survey says, has Nitish dented his image permanently? Yes, 71%. No, 17%. Is India defeat ensured by Nitish's exit? Yes, 46%. No, 39%. So, it's interesting the fact, Rahul, at the end of the day, and maybe Raj Chengappa, you want to weigh in on this. Is there this Tina factor or the Timo factor? There is Modi only or there is no alternative? How do you view it? Is it the lack of an alternative out there or is it the dominance of Mr. Modi? Because to be fair to Rahul Gandhi, Mohan Kumaramangalam is right. He's the one person who's been speaking consistently on issues taking on the Prime Minister. It's not got him traction, but he has been doing that, yet it's not got him traction.
Rajdeep, I think, looking back at the figures that you flashed, particularly the failures of the Modi government as perceived by this poll, you had price rise, you had inflation, then, of course, COVID was also, paradoxically, he gets marks for that as well as is knocked on the failure side. And then economic growth. If you add the three economic issues together, that's 54% of the people feel, what is Modi's, Prime Minister Modi's biggest failures? 54% of the economy. And these are like potent issues. I think the failure of the opposition has been one that they have not, forget the leadership issue, forget all that. Here were big issues that they could have taken to the public, created a huge ruckus about it, and really challenged Mr. Modi. They didn't do that. That's one point.
Gandhi,
the
Mr.
second thing that you're talking about...
He says, I've been raising unemployment, I've been raising price rise.
Let me just finish.
Is it the messenger who's failing or the message which is failing?
I think it's a combination of both. They should have definitely cashed in as, if you look at the failures of the Modi government, top on the list is prices, then comes unemployment, then comes, of course, COVID handling, and the fourth is the economic growth. 54% of the issues, the failures of Mr. Modi are economic related. Any other opposition should have cashed in on this, gone hammer and tongs at Mr. Modi and the BJP. They don't seem to have succeeded in doing it. And why is that happening? Because I think if you look at the way Mr. Modi has handled a lot of these issues in the midst of COVID, in the midst of the pandemic that we saw, which devastated the economy, a global economic slowdown, and also two wars that kicked up prices, the electorate thinks that he is still the best person to handle it. They don't blame him for the problems. The opposition has not been able to...
He's getting points for trying.
No,
they look at the problem, and more than anybody else in the opposition, they think Prime Minister Modi is best suited to fix these problems.
There's a 5-letter word. It's called trust.
Yeah.
That is what it is about.
Absolutely.
I believe that unemployment is a problem. I believe there's a problem of rising prices. I believe that there is an economic slowdown. My incomes are falling. But I don't trust the opposition as much as I trust the Prime Minister. And I think that explains your morning consult figures. That explains the fact that he remains 10 years later above anti-incumbency, because the Indian voter has come to trust Mr. Modi. And one of the facts is what you said, he's trying. He's giving his best.